I finally got myself up and moved toward the stairs when I heard the voice of my loving wife. "Well, I see you passed out down here last night. You must have been really drunk to do that. Too bad, you'll pay for that today. I bet you feel really proud of yourself, don't you?" I threw back a comment that she probably didn't even notice I wasn't in her bed as I pushed past, heading in to take a shower and change clothes. I really didn't want to talk to her or discuss anything with her in the condition I was in. I made it to the shower, stripping off my clothes as I went. I let the hot water roll over me, and I began to feel strength flow back into my body. My aching back finally loosened up, and I was able to stand straight again. I started to feel almost normal. This was more like it. I reminded myself again why I rarely drank. No more. As I was sobering up, I thought back to what I told Butch. Delia and I had been married for over 9 years. We had no children since Delia was unable to conceive, and she wasn't yet ready to consider adoption. I wanted kids, but she seemed reluctant to make the move. It put a strain on our marriage, but I thought we had worked through it. But the last 4 or 5 months had been particularly strained. Delia was angry, short with me about almost anything, and she had closed herself off to me sexually. We had never had a strong life. Or not since she found she couldn't conceive, but we did okay. The last time we made love together was over 3 months ago, and that was not a pleasant experience when I thought about it. Now, I was beginning to think I knew why. An hour later, I made my way back to the kitchen, looking for that cup of coffee I wanted so badly last night. I smelled it and headed for the pot. A cup of coffee, and I would be all the way back to normal. Unfortunately, Delia was also in the kitchen, and that put a dark cloud over my mood. Now it would take more than just coffee. Just let me get myself a cup of coffee before you start in on me. I need something to wake me up. Too bad you had to make a fool out of yourself last night. Maybe if you had been home where you belonged, you wouldn't feel so bad today. I had to control myself before I said something I would regret. Not regret, rather something I would rather her not know about. At least not yet. I opted to say nothing. "I'm talking to you, Peter Burke. Where were you last night, and who were you with?" "I was with Butch Cassidy. You know Butch? He's the one that cheating bee of a friend of yours left for the bastard she's sleeping with." "You don't know what you're talking about. Martha didn't cheat on him first. He was the one that was cheating. She just got fed up with it and went out on her own. She and Jack were just friends. It was Gerald's fault. He pushed her into it. I guess it was about time I told her the truth. I had to laugh at her ignorance. Martha had filled her empty head with all kinds of lies, and I was in the mood to set her straight." "Is that what she told you?" "Butch never cheated on her once in his life. I, and everybody who knows him, knew that he loved that woman more than life itself. That was her damn story, and she tried to convince everyone of it. But you're the only fool who ever believed her. Everybody else knows what she is." "That's not true. She was only trying to get back at him. That's all it was. Before the divorce, she just had it with that guy once. Just once to make him jealous. But then he got so unreasonable that Martha decided to divorce him. She couldn't live with his cheating ways. Sorry. Martha had been F Jack Mason for over 7 months when Butch found out about it. He told her to get the F out, and she said she was happy to, because Jack was leaving his wife and was going to marry her. She moved out the same day and never even tried to contest the divorce. Never once apologized or tried to explain. Just left. She still F him, but he's not leaving his wife. So, she's just a cheap W. Delia was looking a little shaken. I'm not sure what story Martha had sold her on, but it was sure as hell not the truth. I think it was just starting to sink in. That marriage was over as soon as Butch found out. He told her he wouldn't ever forgive her, and she didn't give a yes. The greedy bee wanted alimony, but he told her if she asked for it, he would quit and go on welfare rather than pay her anything. She'd already spent every dime he made, since they had nothing but the house. Butch gave it to her along with the mortgage. Delia was sitting there staring at me as if I had just told her we were being evicted. She was shell-shocked. I wanted to laugh so bad, but I held it back. Now was the time for the first shot in the war to come. Since her whole lover didn't leave his wife, she had to sell the house to pay her lawyer. But it's okay, since her lover will take care of her. I hear he's paying for her apartment now. That apartment you go to all the time? Owned by her lover, paying for his mistress. It's a good deal for him. She gets free rent, and he gets free pussy. He writes the apartment and is paid her off as a business expense. I laughed at the expression on her face. It was priceless. Marty had really sold her a bill of goods. Not surprising. Now for the slam dunk. But I'll tell you that any wife that cheats on her husband is a S and a fool. If she hasn't the guts to talk to her husband first to get the truth out into the open before doing that, she doesn't deserve to continue to be married to the guy. If she's that angry, then ask for a divorce. But to go F another guy and blame it on him, well, that's just crap. Now she was really looking sick. I don't know what she was thinking, but I was now sure she was guilty. I wanted to push it some more just to make her do something stupid. You know, my loving wife, if you did that, I'd divorce your ass so fast it would make your head swim. So, if you're thinking of it and trying to find some excuse, understand right now that there is none. No excuse and no second chance. I got up, took my cup of coffee that had gone cold again, and walked out of the kitchen and into the garage. I had a small workshop out there with a radio and a small portable TV. I sat down on my stool and took stock. First, I had delivered the facts to Delia about Martha, and it was clear that Martha had sold her a bill of goods. Second, I had let her know how I felt about cheating and what I would do if she did. Third, I put the fear of God into her, and now she was trying to decide how to play it. If she had cheated, which I believe she had, she would try to make sure all evidence was hidden so deep I would never find it. Fourth, she was on the defensive and I had the upper hand. She didn't think I suspected or knew anything, so she would do something soon. That gave me an advantage. Finally, I searched my feelings and my heart and was surprised to find that I really didn't care that my marriage seemed to be over. I guess I had lived with the bee that D had become so long, I just didn't care anymore. The love was gone. I spent the morning out there without interruption and called Butch around 10 to ask him to meet me at the corner 7 to 11 at 1 o'clock that afternoon. I told him to drive the truck, the one that he had just bought and that no one had seen yet. I wanted to be able to follow Delia if she decided to make a trip. I told him what I was going to do, and he thought it was a good plan. We were set. I went back inside when Dee called me to find lunch made and waiting on the table. This was the first time Dee had made lunch for me in over 3 months. Makes you think, doesn't it? What's this? Lunch? Why now all of a sudden? I thought you were angry with me? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had a guilty conscience. Do you? She tried on a sickly smile. Of course not. You just seemed so tired and washed out. I thought you needed something on your stomach. Probably because of last night. Well, whatever the reason, thanks. By the way, I'm going out this afternoon to meet someone. I'll probably be gone most of the afternoon. Who are you going to see? It's Saturday. Why would you be meeting anyone today? It's just a friend. No one important. Nothing for you to be concerned about. It just seems strange that you would have to meet someone on Saturday. Well, it just came up. Why are you so concerned? Do you think I'm doing something I'm not supposed to? They say guilty people always suspect everyone else. No, of course not. And I'm not guilty of anything. I just wondered, do you have anything planned? Anywhere to go? Dee seemed nervous and agitated, but she tried to hide it by turning her back and puttering in the sink before answering me. No, I'll just stay here and finish up some chores. The laundry needs doing. A long pause and then, oh, and I'm going out to see that new movie with Marty tonight. Well, so now we get to it. She must be meeting her lover tonight. That was just great. I wanted to give her a little zinger just to make her sweat a little. But regardless of where she was going, I'd be right behind her. Maybe you want me to think you're both going to the movie, but I know where she's going. You thinking of a little action yourself? You can go to hell? Her anger seemed forced to me, coupled with the sick look on her face as she turned to me. I saw the guilt clear as day. Her reaction should have been anger, not guilt. We ate lunch in silence and cleaned up afterwards. I changed into a nice casual shirt and slacks before I left for my meeting. Delia watched me go without a word. I drove away into the corner convenience store where I had agreed to meet Butch. I knew that I could leave my car there in the back of the store without anybody seeing it. I parked, went inside, got a cold six-pack, and got in the truck with Butch. Okay, now we drive over to Madison ST and watch the house for a while. I want to see if she takes a drive. She said she had nowhere to go, so she'd be home. Let's see. 3 minutes later, we were stopped alongside the curb on the street that crossed mine. We could just see the house and could see if Delia pulled out driving that huge SUV of hers. It was a big-ass Ford Expedition. Why she had to have it was beyond me. She didn't work, and she didn't have anything to carry, so why that big monstrosity? Butch and I popped a couple of cold ones and just chatted. I told him of my conversation with Delia this morning. He got a big kick out of it and said that she was probably guilty, but we had to be sure. As we were talking, I saw Delia pull out of the driveway and start toward us. I grabbed Butch, and we both ducked down until she passed. She came to the intersection with Madison, turned our way, and drove past us. Butch raised up to watch as she stopped at the intersection of Madison and Main. We waited until we saw her turn left, toward town. Butch pulled out behind her, and we followed, staying well back. After a drive of about 10 minutes, Delia pulled into the lot of a diner in a part of town we never frequented. Butch drove past, and then pulled into a gas station on the opposite side. From there, we could see her car. She just sat there and waited without doing anything. As I was becoming impatient, I saw a car pull in beside her, but it was on the other side. I couldn't see who it was, but I saw Delia get out of her side and walk around to the other side, but because that damn SUV was so big, I couldn't see her. I was about to tell Butch to move the damn truck so I could see her when the car, with her in it, backed out and drove away, going the other direction. By the time we were able to get going and pull out into traffic, the car was gone. I had no idea what to do now, so I told Butch to take me back to my car. When he asked me what I was going to do, I just shrugged my shoulders and said that I would play it by ear. He clapped me on the shoulder and told me how sorry he was. I told him it was sort of nice to finally know for sure, but inside I was sick to my stomach, just knowing that my marriage was over and my life would never be the same. But as I thought about it, I reminded myself of what I had been living with and that I would be better off with a clean break. We made plans to meet later that night, and I drove back to the diner. I sat there for some time before deciding to move the car and park just off to the side. I could see her car, watch the cars entering the parking lot, and when I saw them, I would wait until she got in her SUV. Just before she started it up, I would pull up beside her, pause for a moment, and then leave. Dramatic as hell, but more importantly, I found that I just wanted this to be over. No more spying, no more following her around, no planting bugs in the house. That's sort of not for me. She had lied to me and was with another man, period. The rest was just common cheating. It was just over an hour and a half from the time they left until they came back. Must have been time enough to get their rocks off, maybe in the car like a couple of teenagers. Whatever. I did recognize the man in the car as a friend of Jack's. I think they worked together. I started my car as I watched his car pull up beside her SUV, and then, after a couple of moments to say goodbye and make plans for the next tryst, she walked around the front of his car and watched him drive away before moving to hers. Now for a little surprise. Just as she opened the door, I pulled up beside her and waited for her to notice me. Just before sliding in, she turned to the side and saw me sitting there. When our eyes met, the shock on her face was priceless. Shock, guilt, panic, all rolled into one. I gave her enough time to register me, and then I pulled out and drove home without looking back.